The most dangerous moment of a grid-down winter freeze isn't when the power goes out. It isn't when the pipes burst in the ceiling. And it isn't when the highway turns into a sheet of black ice. The most dangerous moment is right now. It is the golden hour. It's that 60-minute window where the forecast has shifted from possible to certain, but the sun is still shining. The roads are dry, the grocery store shelves are full. Your neighbours are mowing their lawns or washing their cars. If you look at them, you feel crazy for packing your bags. But if you look at the data, you realise they are already trapped. They just haven't figured it out yet. In a catastrophic freeze event, survival isn't about how much firewood you have. It's about your ability to recognise the threat curve before the curve becomes a wall. We are talking about the difference between a boring drive to a hotel 3 hours south and freezing to death in a gridlocked car 5 miles from your house. Picture this. It's 2 p.m. on a Sunday in February. The sky is that deceptive, brilliant blue you get right before a pressure drop. The weatherman is talking about a polar vortex destabilizing, predicting temperatures near zero for 72 hours. But right now, it's 45 degrees. You're standing in your driveway. You see the guy across the street, Dave. Dave is a good guy. He's blowing leaves off his driveway. He waves at you. He has no idea that the regional interconnect is showing signs of frequency instability. He has no idea that the natural gas lines feeding the city's peaker plants are already freezing up at the wellhead. To Dave, this is just another winter weekend. If you get in your truck now, fully loaded, you look paranoid. You look like a coward running from a flurry. But the math in your head is screaming. You know that once the precipitation starts, the friction coefficient of that asphalt drops to near zero. You know that once the grid fails, the gas pumps stop. You are standing on the precipice of the golden hour. And the hardest thing you will ever do is turn your back on your home while everything still looks perfect. Why does Dave stay? Why do millions of people stay until the water in their toilet bowl turns to solid ice? It's called normalcy bias, but in the military, we call it failure to act. The human brain is wired to smooth over outliers. We tell ourselves stories to avoid the pain of disruption. We say, the city handles this every year. We say, the power never goes out for more than an hour. We rely on historical data that is no longer relevant to the current threat landscape. The panic doesn't start when the forecast changes. The panic starts when the reality breaks the normalcy bias. That happens when the lights flicker and don't come back on. That happens when the Instagram feed shows empty shelves at Walmart. By then, the golden hour is gone. You are now competing with 2 million other people for the same 3 exit routes. You are fighting for the last gallon of gas. You are no longer navigating, you are reacting. And in a survival scenario, if you are reacting, you are losing. You are a casualty who hasn't stopped breathing yet. Most of you watching this think you're ready because you have a generator and a bag of rice. You're guessing. And in a grid-down freeze, guessing gets your family killed. You need to know exactly where your gaps are before the temperature drops. I built a tool to stop the guessing. Go to protocolsurvival.com and take the free survival score assessment. It calculates your readiness based on your specific location, your gear, and your family size. It tells you if you have 3 weeks of food or 3 days. It tells you if your water plan is solid or if you're going to be drinking out of the back of a toilet. Don't wait for the blackout to find out you failed the math. Go to protocolsurvival.com, get your score, and fix the holes in your armour today. Do it now. I can hear some of you already. You're typing in the comments. Sergeant Miller, you're fear-mongering. The US grid is robust. The National Guard has plans for this. They fixed the regulations after Texas 2021. Let's address that. Let's steelman your argument. Yes, There are winterization protocols. Yes, there are spinning reserves. But here is the operational reality. The grid is designed for peak demand, not catastrophic failure of supply. When you have a simultaneous failure of wind generation due to icing, solar due to cloud cover, and natural gas due to wellhead freeze-offs, the math doesn't care about regulations. You cannot legislate physics. And the National Guard? A guard unit can move a few thousand people. They can set up a warming centre for a few hundred. They cannot heat 3 million individual homes. They cannot come to your specific cul-de-sac when the roads are impassable for their own LMTVs. If your plan is, the government will save me, your plan is hope, and hope is not a course of action. The grid is a just-in-time delivery system. When the delivery stops, the city begins to die. It is not a fortress, it is a cage. Let's fast forward. You stayed. You missed the window. It's now 3 a.m. on Tuesday. The power cut out 6 hours ago. At first, the house held the heat. It was 68 degrees. Comfortable. You put on a sweater. But thermal decay is exponential in poorly insulated structures. Now the internal temp is 48 and dropping. You can see your breath in the living room. The silence is the worst part. Modern cities hum. They vibrate with electricity. When that stops, the silence is heavy. It presses on your eardrums. You hear a sound from the apartment upstairs. A crack like a gunshot. That's a pipe bursting in the wall. Water is about to flood down through your ceiling, soaking your carpet, soaking your emergency blankets. Wet insulation offers zero protection. Hypothermia isn't just about cold air, it's about moisture management. Now you have a freezing apartment that is also wet. Your kids are waking up crying because their feet hurt. That pain? That's the beginning of frost nip. You look at the thermostat. Blank screen. You are watching your shelter turn into a tomb. This isn't a cabin in the woods. This is a city. And cities create their own weather. When you have high-rise buildings and a strong northerly wind, you get the Venturi effect. The wind accelerates between the skyscrapers. If the ambient temperature is 10 degrees, the wind chill in those urban canyons can hit 20 or 30 below zero. This changes the tactical reality of leaving on foot. If you decide to bug out now, walking to a shelter 3 blocks away, you are stepping into a wind tunnel that can induce frostbite on exposed skin in under 5 minutes. You are not dressed for an Arctic expedition. You're dressed for a commute. I've seen grown men incapacitated by wind chill because they thought a hoodie and a denim jacket were enough. They weren't. In an urban freeze, the street level is the kill zone. Staying inside a freezing building is dangerous, but moving through that wind tunnel without sealable eye protection and heavy layering is suicide. So how do you avoid the kill zone? You leave during the golden hour. But you need a trigger. You cannot rely on your gut. You need a hard deck. Here is the protocol. Establish a tripwire set of conditions 3 days out. Tripwire 1. A forecast of sustained sub-freezing temperatures for more than 48 hours. Tripwire 2. Any official mention of grid stress or conservation requests from the utility provider. Tripwire 3. Your personal infrastructure check. Do you have a secondary, non-electric heat source that can maintain 50 degrees Fahrenheit in one room for 72 hours? If the answer is no, and the first 2 tripwires are tripped, you mobilise. No debate, no family meeting, you execute. This means your vehicle is fueled to 100% the moment tripwire 1 is hit. Not half tank, full tank. It means your bags are by the door. You are watching the weather radar, not the news. You are looking for the leading edge of the storm front. You want to be 50 miles outside the metro area before the first snowflake hits the windshield. If you wait until you see snow, you have waited too long. Let's talk about what success looks like. Success looks boring. You trigger the protocol on Friday afternoon. You load the family. The kids are complaining. They want to play video games. Your wife is skeptical. She thinks you're overreacting. You drive out of the city. The traffic is light. Normal rush hour, nothing gridlocked. You stop at a gas station 40 miles out. The pumps are working. You buy a coffee. It's uneventful. You get to a motel in the next state over, or a relative's house south of the freeze line. You check into a room with heat. You order a pizza. You watch the news. And that is when you see it. You see the reporter standing on the overpass back home. You see the headlights stopped for miles. You see the reports of power failures rolling across your neighbourhood. You feel a strange mix of relief and guilt. You are safe, warm and fed. Your neighbours are beginning their nightmare. You didn't survive a battle, you avoided the war. That is the victory of the golden hour. It is the victory of being early. If you are executing the golden hour escape, your vehicle is your lifeboat. But a lifeboat without supplies is just a coffin waiting to happen. If you get stuck, if a semi-truck jackknifes ahead of you and closes the highway, you are now camping in your car. Standard loadout. You need wool blankets, 1 per seat. Not the foil emergency blankets, those are garbage for long-term static survival. You need heavy wool or synthetic loft. You need a metal shovel, not plastic. Plastic shatters in deep freeze. You need sand or kitty litter for traction. But here is the most important item, a dedicated pee bottle. Listen to me. If you are stuck in a blizzard, do not exit the vehicle to urinate. You lose critical body heat every time you open that door. You let the cold in. You keep the cabin sealed. You also need a carbon monoxide detector. If you are running the engine to stay warm and the snow piles up around your exhaust pipe, the gas backs up into the cabin. It's odourless, colourless, and it kills entire families while they sleep. Crack the window on the downwind side. Run the engine for 10 minutes every hour, no more. Conserve fuel, conserve heat. Here is the specific complication regarding the road surface. Most people understand snow. They slow down for snow. They don't respect black ice. Black ice forms when the ambient temperature hovers right around freezing and moisture on the road, fog, light rain or melt, refreezes into a transparent glaze. It looks like wet asphalt. You are doing 45 miles per hour. You feel confident. Then your rear end breaks loose. You have 0 steering input, 0 braking. You are a projectile. In a mass evacuation scenario, one black ice spinout doesn't just wreck one car. It creates a blockage that traps 5,000 cars behind it. Once that traffic stops, the plows can't get through, the salt trucks can't get through. The road freezes harder. You are now part of a linear city of stranded motorists. This is why the golden hour is non-negotiable. You cannot rely on your driving skills to handle black ice. The only winning move is to be off the road before the temperature hits the dew point. Physics is undefeated. Don't fight it. I want to talk about motivation. Some of you are sitting there thinking, I'm tough, I can handle the cold. This isn't about you. If you are a father, a husband, a leader of your household, your toughness is irrelevant. Your job is protection. Imagine the power is out. It's been 48 hours. Your 5-year-old daughter is looking at you. Her lips are cracked. She's shivering so hard she can't hold a cup of water. She asks you, Daddy, when will it be warm? And you have to look her in the eye and say, I don't know. That feeling? That is failure. That is the crushing weight of knowing you could have left, but you didn't, because you were too proud or too lazy. You don't prep for yourself. You prep so you never have to see that look in your child's eyes. You prep so you can be the rock they lean on, not the guy apologising for why there's no heat. We don't act out of fear, we act out of duty. Duty demands you make the hard call early, even if you look foolish to the neighbours. When the grid goes down, the cell towers go to battery backup. That lasts about 4 to 8 hours. After that, the signal dies. Your Google Maps is gone. Your cloud notes with your evacuation route? Gone. You need a system that works when the world goes dark. That is why I built the offline mode into Protocol Survival. It allows you to download your entire survival plan, your gear checklists, your medical guides, and your encrypted documents directly to your phone's local storage. It works in airplane mode. It works in a blackout. It works when you are 50 miles from the nearest cell tower. Do not rely on the cloud for your survival. Secure your data locally. Go to protocolsurvival.com. Get the app. Sync your data. Be ready for the disconnect. Because when the screen goes black, it's too late to download the manual. Let's say you couldn't leave the city. Maybe you're essential personnel. Maybe the storm moved faster than the forecast. You are stuck in a high-rise apartment on the 15th floor. The power is out. The elevators are dead. The water pumps are off. You are effectively on a vertical island. Staying there is dangerous. You need to execute a micro-evacuation. This isn't leaving the city. It's moving to a tactical advantage within the city. You know a friend, Mike, who lives 3 miles away in a single-story house with a wood-burning stove. Mike has heat. You have food. You combine forces. But the movement is the danger. You have to descend 15 flights of dark, icy stairs carrying your go bags. You have to move 3 miles through snow-choked streets where emergency vehicles are stuck. You are a refugee in your own neighborhood. You pull a sled with your supplies because carrying 40 pounds on your back in slick conditions destroys your balance. You move in daylight only. You move fast. You get to Mike's house. You board up the windows. You consolidate into one room. You have turned 2 vulnerable targets into one hardened position. If you are forced to shelter in place, you do not heat the house, you heat the human. The average American home is a sieve. It leaks heat everywhere. In a grid-down freeze, you must shrink your footprint. Choose one room, south-facing if possible for solar gain during the day, smallest room available, bring everyone in. Mattress on the floor. Now, build a fort. I'm serious. Use blankets, sheets, couch cushions. Build a micro-environment over the mattress. The body heat of 3 or 4 people trapped inside a small tented area can raise the temperature inside that space by 10 to 15 degrees compared to the room. It's simple physics. You are reducing the volume of air you need to heat. Seal the door to the room with towels. Cover the windows with blankets. Do not use a gas stove for heat. You will die of carbon monoxide poisoning. If you have a tent, pitch it inside the living room. Sleep inside the tent. This is how you survive negative temperatures with 0 BTUs of external energy. You become the heater. It's uncomfortable, it's cramped, but it keeps your core temperature above 95 degrees. Here is the secondary threat that catches people off guard. Water. In a deep freeze, the municipal pipes burst. The pressure drops. When pressure drops, groundwater contaminants can seep into the supply. Or the water just stops entirely. You can't just melt snow. Eating snow lowers your core body temperature rapidly. It costs your body energy to melt it. You have to melt it on a stove first. But if you have no power, how do you melt it? You need a camp stove. You need fuel. And you need to filter it. Snow isn't clean. It captures atmospheric pollutants. In an urban environment, that snow is full of soot, exhaust particulates, and bird droppings. You need to boil it or filter it. If you didn't fill your bathtub and every available container before the pipes froze, you are now in a water crisis. Dehydration accelerates hypothermia. Thick blood doesn't circulate well to the extremities. If you are thirsty, you are getting colder. Hydration is part of thermal regulation. Neglect it, and you freeze faster. This is the part nobody likes to talk about. The morality of survival. You prepared. You have food. You have a buddy heater. You have water. It's day 3. The neighbour, the one who laughed at your paranoia, knocks on your door. He looks bad. He's cold. He asks for help. What do you do? If you let him in, you break your thermal seal. You split your resources. If you have enough food for 4 people for 2 weeks, and you add 2 neighbours, you now have food for 6 people for, do the math, less than a week. But if you turn him away, you destroy the community cohesion you might need later. There is no right answer here, only consequences. My advice? You don't let them into your inner sanctum. You offer aid outside. You give him a spare blanket. You give him some food. But you maintain the integrity of your primary shelter. This sounds harsh. It is harsh. But in a survival situation, you are the captain of a lifeboat. If you overload the boat, everyone drowns. Your primary duty is to your crew, your family. Helping others is a luxury you can afford only after your crew is secure. When the digital world fails, we go analog. If the cell towers are down, how do you know if the roads are clear? How do you know if the power is back on in the next county? AM/FM radio. It is 100-year-old technology, and it is the only thing that will be working. The emergency alert system broadcasts over radio. Local stations will have generators. You need a battery-powered or hand-crank radio. But more than that, you need a comms plan with your family. If you got separated during the evacuation, where is the rally point? Meet at the house is a bad plan if the house is frozen. Meet at Aunt Sarah's in Tulsa is a good plan. Write these numbers down on paper. Laminate them. Put a card in every kid's backpack. If your phone is dead, do you know your wife's phone number by heart? Do you know your brother's number? Most people don't. They outsourced their memory to the silicon. Reclaim that data. Write it down. A pencil and paper is the most reliable hard drive on Earth. Eventually, the sun comes out. The temperature rises above freezing, the ice melts. This is not the end of the disaster, this is the beginning of the mess. As the pipes thaw, they reveal the cracks. Water starts pouring through ceilings across the city. Drywall collapses. Mould begins to grow within 48 hours. The grid tries to restart, but the surge of millions of heaters turning on at once trips the breakers again. It's chaos. The grocery stores open, but there is nothing on the shelves because the trucks haven't arrived yet. This is the hangover phase of the disaster. If you left during the golden hour, you don't come back yet. You wait. Let the city purge the system. Let the frantic masses fight over the first delivery of bread. You stay in your hotel. You stay at your relative's house. You return only when the infrastructure is stable. You return to a damaged home, maybe, but you return healthy, rested, and alive. You manage the timeline, not the event. We like to think we have conquered nature. We have climate control, heated seats, insulated jackets. But the cold is the Great Equalizer. It doesn't care about your tax bracket. It doesn't care about your politics. It seeks equilibrium. It wants to bring your body temperature down to match the air. The only thing standing between you and that equilibrium is your preparation and your decision making. The grid isn't what keeps the lights on. It's what keeps the monster out. When the grid fails, the monster is in the room. You don't defeat the cold, you outmaneuver it, you respect it, and you move before it grabs hold of you. The golden hour is a gift. It is a brief window of grace where you can choose your fate. Most people squander it staring at the sky, hoping it won't happen. Don't hope. Decide. Pack the truck. Watch the data. And when the needle drops, be the first one out the door.